Well, good morning. Good morning, CSL Santa Rosa. Okay, the first service was even louder than you. What's up? Good morning. You know, wow. What you may not know is I'm so grateful to be back home here. This is my home campus. This is where I came to ministerial school, so this place birthed me. Yes, I mean it. The first class I took in ministerial school was called Contemporary Applications of Science and Mind, taught by Dr. Edward. Y'all know I fell instantly in love with him. His wisdom, his wit. I mean, you know Dr. Edward, right? Just a little bit? Yes. And he was my mentor as a senior at this campus. And I stand on his shoulders today and thank him for all that he continues to gift and give me. I'm glad he's having time to himself today, but I miss not getting to see him and hug him. So I feel not only at home, but I embrace this place as my home. I've been in Dallas now 5 years, and this is the first time I've come back in 5 years to the Bay Area for here. Thank you. And but I have to tell you that not everywhere that I go do I feel at home. When I travel the world, sometimes, it doesn't feel like home. You know that? Whether it's a hotel or whatever it is, you sometimes can't wait to go back, put your head on the pillow or whatever. But sometimes I feel like a fish out of water. Has anybody ever felt like a fish out of water? Let me see your hands. Hold them high. Look at all the fishes. We are in a sea of fishes. Okay, so that reminds me of a joke. I thought I'd start with a joke. There were these two fishes, and they were swimming in the ocean. And the first fish came up to the second fish and said, "Hey, how's the water?" Second fish said, "What the heck's water?" Yeah, I didn't say it was funny. I said it was a joke. So I think I'm just going to leave that right here. How about that? Can I just leave those fishes right here for a minute? Just leave them here. That didn't go over so well. So we might as well get to what I'm talking about and dive into the topic today. Ooh, how big is your God? How big is your God? Not my God. Not the person sitting next to you. Look at them. Say, it's not about your God. It's about my God. It's about how big is your God? It's an important question. And I'm not actually talking about size per se. Another way that we might want to ask this or think about this is, I'll ask this question. Are you currently, right now, in this moment, living the most exquisite, bodacious, bountiful, joy-filled, rich, authentic, abundant life that you can imagine and more? Okay, that's all right. Because I'm here to tell you, you can, and it's yours. You can, and it's your divine birthright. Always has been. You are entitled to it. You are truly entitled to it. And it's been here all along. And so it's not really for lack of abundance. It's not for lack of abundance that you may be experiencing less than this full-out prosperous life, whatever that is for you. I've come to discover it's primarily three things. Three things that if we grow in this, in our consciousness, there it is. Number one, it's sometimes, I don't know about you, but I have the lack of awareness of the ever-present reality of divine substance. Number 2, the faith to shape it into manifest form. The faith to shape it. And number 3, the belief. The belief that there is nothing to limit any and all of this form. There's not a thing. But I have to have the belief in that. So if we look at this and start with the first one, fundamentally, it really comes down to how your life outpictures. It comes down to what is your understanding, your own personal understanding, your awareness of God, the universal presence, whatever you choose to call it. What is your own personal understanding? Now, for me, over the course of my life, my understanding of God has changed drastically over the course of my life. Anybody with me on that? Yes, participation's really good. It's changed so dramatically and drastically over the course of my life. And it is especially changed over the past 10 years. Actually, 11. Since coming into the science of mind, but 10's a nice round number, so I said 10. Since discovering and taking up these spiritual principles known as science of mind and putting them into practice into my own life. See, no matter where you are now in the life of coming into this community, either day 1 or day 20, I started where you did. Who's done foundations? Look, hold them up. Okay, everybody else, I want you to declare I'm in the next foundations class. That's where I started. And so now, because of that, and moving from a 23-year very successful career in sales and marketing into this thing called ministry, because of putting these principles into my own life, I truly live an exceptionally prosperous life. And there's been a dramatic increase in my prosperity in my own life. And because of that, I have a deep passion for you to know and to understand that it's yours too. Because if I can do it, anybody can do it. I want to start with a quote from Emily Cady. I recently discovered her. I haven't read many of her books, and I recently discovered her. She's a New Thought pioneer. And her quote is, God is not a being with qualities or attributes. This might be a little different than what we've heard. God is not a being with qualities or attributes, but God is the good itself, coming into expression as life, love, power, wisdom. So God, the thing itself, the universal presence, whatever we choose to call it, is actually the good itself. It's the substance of all things. And God is not a dispenser of divine substance. You want some divine? Here, you take a little bit. You want some? Oh, you really want some? I'll give you a little bit. No, God is not the dispenser of divine substance. Rather, God is this allness of this every present substance in which everything lives and moves and has its being. It's this every present substance. The word universe, if we look at the literal meaning of the word universe, it means the whole body of things. The whole body of things. And we know that wholeness means nothing lacking. There's nothing lacking as wholeness. And so this whole of God, spirit, whatever, this substance, this whole of God is present at every point. At every point. Think of that. Just keep going out into the cosmos. It's present at every point in space and at the same time. It's omnipresent. That's what omnipresent means. So it's mind-blowing to me that it's at this every point and at the same time. So it's not just some of it, it's all. All of the substance of the universe is present at any point of human need or human want. You know the saying, there's no spot where God is not. Right? Wow. So there's no place, no place in the universe where substance is any more present or any less present than right where you are. Right now. And when you get up later and go to the bathroom, it's there too. And when you go home, it's there too. And when you go to work, it's there too. When you go to the bank, it's there too. So there's no limit and no limitation to the substance. The thing that happens, I don't know how, but it seems to happen. Maybe it's just me. Is there are times when I, in my own consciousness, have a consciousness of limitation. Anybody with me? Like sometimes, just every now and then? So how do we begin to shift this consciousness of limitation? Well, I thought I'd bring something up. Let's bring the fish back in. Remember, they're right here. Let's bring the fish into this. Let's bring these little fishies into assist. What I trust is today we're going to get into our consciousness that we each live in a substance as a fish lives in water. Can a fish ever lack for water? A fish in the ocean, can it ever lack for water? No. So can you, having your being in this ocean of God's substance, ever really lack in the supply of creative ideas, opportunities, form of any kind? No. But remember, this is the trick. Click. The fish don't know they're in water. What the heck is water? They don't know they're in water. And sometimes I forget. Many times I forget that I'm in this ocean of God's substance. And I think that's what happens. We forget that we're in this ocean of God's substance. And so each time that I remember, no matter what, when I remember that all of the substance of the universe is present right where I am, each time you remember that all of the substance of the universe is right where you are, bam, there it is. And not only that, but the ocean of God, this substance, is not only everywhere we are, it's in us. Isn't it? Yes. I mean, I'm just sticking with the metaphor of water for a second. Do you know that when we come into this world as a baby, we're about 75 to 78% water? So it's in us, right? Now, I don't know what happens, but somewhere down the road as adults, we actually drop to 60, 65, maybe because our consciousness isn't aware that we're really in the oceanic substance of God. But that's biology. I'm not going there today. But you get the point that this substance is in us. It's as us. It's everywhere. Everywhere. So So it's very important for each of us in our own way, however we do this. I personally do it in classes. I still take classes. Because when I teach a class, I take a class. And so it's very important for each of us to grow our awareness and to hold on to the awareness, to basically remember that you are created in substance. You are created in substance. You are formed of substance. And there is this ceaselessly supported by this substance. You are ceaselessly supported by this substance at all times. So now that we've increased and grown our awareness of this ever-present reality of this divine substance, we're growing it right now. I declare it's right there growing in your subconscious because you gave yourself the gift of coming here today. Let's talk about number 2, and that's to have the faith to shape it. We have to have the faith to shape whatever the substance is into form. And we each get to decide what that form is individually. Ernest Holmes tells us that through spiritual discernment, we see that we have within us a power which is greater than anything we shall ever contact. Anything. A power that can overcome every obstacle in our experience and set us safe, satisfied, and at peace. Healed and prosperous in a new light and a new life. I love that. So there's this power within us. This oceanic divine substance, this power within us, and it's greater than anything we shall ever come in contact, certainly outside of ourselves. And it can overcome everything. And even the word prosperous is in there. He continues and says that God's creative power of mind is right here, right here, right here. And we can have as much of this power to use as we believe and embody. He says that the storehouse of nature is filled with infinite good. And it's awaiting the touch of our awakened thought. That's what it's waiting on. It's waiting on the touch of our awakened thought to spring forth into manifestation of our lives. As our thought is awakened, it springs forth. It goes to action. And he tells us, though, that the awakening must be within our own thought. So the word that we speak is the law of our lives. And he tells us, but nothing hinders this but ourselves. I get in my way all the time.
I hear you, sister.
She hears me. Does anybody else hear me? Am I on? Do you ever get in your own way? My gosh, I'm not sure. It's like trying to become some kind of in meditation and never ever have a thought. I don't know that that's possible. But to realize when I'm getting in my own way, there it is. There's that limitation right there. I did it. I did it again. And so nothing hinders this operation but ourselves. And to have this faith, this unshakable faith that we actually have this power within us, the power of our own thought, and it shapes this divine substance into whatever form we want is just amazing. But we have to have the faith that this is true, right? And so through the teachings of Science of Mind, however we get it on a Sunday morning in a class, and circles or all the things that this community I know so richly offers to you, we begin to synchronize our consciousness with this reality of truth. And then we become this channel, this vessel through which this mystical flow does its powerful work. And it's mystical because I got to tell you, after 11 years, I still don't know how it works. And I don't care. I don't need to know. I just have to keep synchronizing my consciousness to this and allow this incredible oceanic divine substance to pour through me, to be that vessel, be that container. So, it doesn't, here's the other thing, my mind tricks me on this all the time. It doesn't matter what's taking place around us. Doesn't matter about any condition. Doesn't matter what's going on. It does not matter about the state of the economy. How your life has outpictured up to now has nothing to do with anything here. This is the rub. It has everything to do with this inside. Now, I'm now 53 years old. It don't matter where we are. We get to start right now. And thank goodness that I found these teachings and decided to put them into practice, starting with foundation, every class I could get my hands on. And I still do that. Who's doing that? Okay. And I have some anchors by putting spiritual mind treatment, affirmations, all the spiritual tools that were given, and to put them into work. And I have some anchors in my life. And reflecting on this, I have anchors that when I sometimes doubt or I want to limit myself, or, the voice just pops up and says, that ain't going to happen. Don't want that. You're crazy. And one of them took place, it doesn't matter what's happening outside of us. One of us took place when in the summer of 2015, I went to Paris, France for the first time. And before going, we only had a day and a half. Dr. Petra, who's the other co-spiritual director, and I and three other friends, doesn't really significantly matter, but it matters to me, 3 other friends. We went to Paris together. And before going, some friends in our community said, if you only got a day and a half in Paris, the one thing you got to make sure you get to see is the Saint Chapelle Chapel. Who's seen the Saint Chapelle Chapel in Paris, France? Let me see your hands. Okay, now, everybody else raise your hand. I declare right now, you too are going to see it in your lifetime. And so it is. And so I was told that I would be dropped to my knees, so you must go. And so we went off and started seeing the Eiffel Tower and all this stuff. And, we only had a day and a half, and we kept going and playing. And we got, finally, after Notre Dame and everything, we got to the Saint Chapelle Chapel, and I knew it was getting close to time to close. And so when we walked up, there was a line. Way around the corner. And so we got in the line, and I said, I'll be right back. Walked up to the front where there was somebody at the entrance working, and I talked to him, and I said, so what time do you close? Da-da-da, half hour from now. Okay, well, I'm back there. Way over there. I'm back there. And he said, yeah, I can tell you are not getting in here. I've worked here for so many years, and I know where the spot is, and you're not getting in here. I'm sorry. You might as well just go find something else to do. And I said, great, thank you so much. I went back to the end of the line, and I looked at Petra and the other 3. 2 out of 3 were practitioners as well. And I said, okay, here we go. Let's do spiritual mind treatment right now, because I am getting in that chapel, and I'm going to be dropped to my knees. I have seen the chapel. It does not matter. And that's an anchor for me. It does not matter. So now, who has an anchor that they can reflect on that either you did your own spiritual mind treatment or a practitioner or minister did? Raise your hand. Okay. We're going to keep getting more anchors. And the other one that I reflect on is I bought a home in the Oakland Hills in May of 2007. See, you already know where I am. May of 2007, there was a bidding war going on. Oh my goodness, 5 people, we were one of them, bid on this house, et cetera, et cetera. I'm fast forwarding. And we ended up getting the bid, although we weren't the highest bidder. And my then partner was extremely nervous about spending all this money on this house. And so that was $945,000, just so you know, on the house. And I went, well, I absolutely declare that no matter what, we are never going to be financially harmed by this house, by buying it. 2 weeks later, who knew? I was at the peak part of the housing market at that time. Of course, I didn't know that. And then 2 weeks later, it went right down there. And we were upside down on that house. We even put a couple of $100,000 in that. And, you know, in 2008 and 2009, we went into a massive recession in this country. Yes? And I was in a medical device startup, and I was selling a $3,000, basically, bucket of ice that circulates and compresses. And even people within my company was telling me that we weren't going to sell that much. Well, I've got to tell you, by putting these principles to work in 2008 and 2009, without moving jobs and without getting promoted, I made more money than I have ever made in my life. It does not matter what's going on outside of us. I did not watch the news because all it talked about was the recession. I didn't let any conversation come into my area when they were like, oh, what about this recession? Oh, ain't it awful? Talk to the hand. I stayed on course, and I just share this because anything I can do, you can. I know that. And so the third thing is, so it doesn't matter what's going on outside of us as long as we have faith. And the third thing is the belief that there's nothing to limit any and all of this form. Ernest Holmes tells us that our belief sets the limit to our demonstration of a principle which of itself is without limit. It is ready to fill everything because it is infinite. So it's not a question of its willingness nor of its ability. It's entirely a question of our own receptivity. So I have really had to grow my receptivity vessel. Because, you know, I didn't really feel very worthy. And I didn't think that, you know, I could really have anything I want or whatever, but I started where I started. And I had this wonderful vessel to believe. And I've been growing and growing and growing and growing my belief over these years. That house, let's go back to the house. We sold it in the spring of 2014, 7 years later. We put it on the market at the same price that I bought it for, right? $945,000. We also had put in $200,000 to $250,000 in it. And the real estate agent that I was working with was like, well, but let's put it here and let's just trust and hope and, you know, we'll get more than that. And I was like, we're going to get more than that. We're going to get at least $1 million. And that's where I started. And I had to grow my container. I had to grow my belief. I had to grow it inside of me. So I was like, well, but I was a little wobbly when I started off in the million. Then I went, you know what? We're going to get $1.1 million for this house. Boom. And I kept working it until it felt like, yes, $1.1 million. Then guess what? I said, well, God, I'm there. How about $1.2 million? We're going to get $1.2 million for this house. I just worked it on the inside. I grew my belief. I'm like, I kept working it until everything inside of me said, yes, $1.2 million is done. Then I came home for the last time and stood on the deck of that house and looked out at this gorgeous view of the bay and everything, and I said, spiritual mind treatment. This house sells for $1.3 million, absolutely no less, ain't accepting anything else. $1.3 million and $5,000 to boot. I share this because this is the power that we have within each of us. So I've grown to a swimming pool. What do you notice about that picture? That's right. There's an ocean behind it. So no matter where we are today, we can all grow. We can grow in our understanding of this universal, oceanic, divine presence. We can grow in our faith that we have that power within, and it's awaiting our conscious thinking. We can grow in our belief that we are worthy of all of our good. And as this awareness of our ever-present reality of divine substance grows, and the faith that to shape it into manifest form, and the belief that there's nothing to limit it in all of its form, then we absolutely do live the most exquisite, bodacious, bountiful, joy-filled, rich, authentic, prosperous life you can imagine. And I promise you, if I can do it, anyone can. Anyone can. And so I celebrate you. And do I have my piano player in here? Oh, I couldn't see you. I celebrate you. Go ahead and give yourself a hand. Because we've grown the consciousness of our prosperity in this moment. So let's seal it. Seal it in this moment. If you, like me, are somewhat kinesthetic or like to, like stand in your power, I invite you, if you're willing and able, to stand up for this. How good it is in this moment to absolutely stand in the oceanic, bountiful, limitless presence of this divine substance known as God. That which is always here. It's omnipresent. We can't get out of this ocean. We're in it, and it's in us. And I know that this God, this Spirit, whatever we choose to call it, is filled up and overflowing as abundance and prosperity. And I know that as God is abundance, I know that I am that I am. And as I know this to be the truth of my life, my prosperous life, I absolutely know this to be the truth of every single person in the sound of my voice right here and right now. And every single person that is attached and connected to this incredible community known as CSL Santa Rosa. That we are the living embodiment of the expression of prosperity and abundance as our life. And so by the power and authority of the one mind, the Christ consciousness, I speak the word for each of us, declaring that we get out of our own way. We drop any thoughts of limitation whenever they come up. We say, no. I am this abundance. I am this prosperous place. I am the outpicturing of this bold and bodacious life that I came here to live. This is who I am. And this takes its form as each of us, as Karen, as Tara, as Mike, as Jim, as Carol. Whatever, our individualized expression. And there is no thing, not even ourself, that gets in the way of this. And so I celebrate this moment as we grow in prosperity and we grow in grace. I'm so grateful to know that this works. And because I know that, I know it's already so. And if you, like me, know that this is already so, I ask you to say with me, Amen, Ashe, Aho, and so it is.